the Exodus story of manna from heaven, the ancient Hebrews discovered that nourishment can come in surprising ways. I'm reminded of another story of manna, manna in the midst of fear and longing, one of my favorite table stories. It's a real-life story shared by Rebecca, a caregiver for Rick, who was living with the acute symptoms of AIDS. She wrote this in her journal. I went to Rick's every Tuesday and Thursday morning. I usually called before I went to see if he wanted me to pick up anything on the way. He never used to ask me for anything until once, when I hadn't had breakfast, and I stopped at this place a couple blocks from where he lived, the Hostess with the Mostess. I stopped there to get a cinnamon roll, and I got two, one for me and one for Rick. I didn't really think he'd eat it because he was so organic. I also got 2 large coffees with milk. I could have eaten it all if he didn't want his. But when I got to his place and asked him if he'd had breakfast and showed him what I brought, he absolutely squealed. He said those cinnamon rolls were his absolute favorite things in the whole wide world, and he used to go to the Hostess on Sunday mornings. He said he'd try to be there when they were fresh out of the oven and get the very best ones. The ones from the center of the pan, which we all know are the stickiest and the softest. It was something that he used to do for himself on Sunday. So today, when I called and asked him if he wanted the usual, and he said he didn't, I was surprised. He said, "Not today. Just get your sweet self over here. I've got a surprise for you." When I arrived, I was truly surprised. Surprised, but not in the way that I had expected to be. Rick's nurse, Margaret, was there when I arrived to take Rick to the hospital. His stomach was cramping, he was feverish, and had broken out in a cold sweat. I helped Margaret get Rick into the car and gave him a kiss on the forehead for good luck. I went back into his apartment and started cleaning. I usually started in the kitchen, but as soon as I set foot in there and saw the kitchen table, I couldn't. I turned around and stood in the hall a second and held my breath. After a while, I let it out. I did everything else first. I stripped the bed, put a load of laundry in, I vacuumed and dusted, I took out the trash. I did it all fast because I wanted to get everything done. But I also wish that I could stretch it out and still be doing it and be there when he came home, as if he would come home soon. I cleaned the bathroom mirror, and then I saw myself. My face was splotched from tears. My t-shirt smelled like me, but also him. It smelled like Rick's sweat. I put my hands up to my face, and I could smell him in my hands. I put my face in my hands and closed my eyes. I stood there a while, just like that. And then I went into the kitchen. What was on the table was this: his 2 favorite coffee mugs. There was Melita over one, full of ground coffee, all ready to go. There were 2 dessert plates with a pair of cinnamon rolls from the Hostess. the soft, sticky ones from the center of the pan. I thought of Rick going down there, how long it must have taken him to get down the street, how early he had to go to get the best ones. I thought of him planning a nice surprise, of him trying to do what he couldn't. I sat at the table that he'd laid for us. I put my elbows on the table and folded my hands. I closed my eyes and lowered my head and put my forehead in my hands. I tried to think how Rick would think. I tried to imagine him there with me. After a while, I opened my eyes. He laid the table hopefully. I took the food he meant for me. I ate. In John's Gospel, Jesus says, I am the bread of life. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Whenever we share that bread, we participate in the living Jesus who sustains us. Whenever we break open and share the bread of our own lives, we become that bread for others. So friends, let us come to the table this day and share in the feast that was meant for us. Thanks be. Amen.